So, what happens to the avatars once they pass? All we really know is they pass and get reincarnated into the next avatar, and the cycle continues. It's been confirmed that instead of going into the afterlife, the spirits of past avatars roam the spirit world. While nothing is confirmed, we can only assume this gives them a lot of time to reflect on things that happened in their life. Since we don't know for sure, today we're going to theorize on what could possibly have happened after death for Yang Chen, Kuruk, Kyoshi, and Roku. We don't want you to feel like we're leaving Aang and Korra out of it. The truth is, we just don't know much about what happened in Korra's life following the comics, so we can't really theorize what she would reflect on after death. And most of Aang's afterlife is canon, and in the Legend of Korra. With that out of the way, let's dive in. Following Avatar Sido, and before Avatar Kuruk, Yang Chen was the air nomad avatar. She was motivated to change the world despite her inexperience, even though she had mastered all of the elements in her childhood. She gradually rose to prominence and was praised for her strength, sagacity, and intelligence. Yang Chen was feared for her intense readiness to do whatever was necessary to maintain balance and peace throughout the globe in her role as the Avatar, despite the air nomad culture's emphasis on non-violence and the sanctity of life. She was so devoted that for a generation after her death, there were no war threats. People in the Earth Kingdom even started to pray to her for protection after she passed away, since she was regarded as a holy person. But under the reign of her successor Kuruk, her acts also contributed to an increase in dark spirit attacks. Contrary to common opinion, she did not entirely have a good impact on the world. She frequently supported people in disputes between humans and spirits, believing that they would uphold their obligation to maintain the physical world. Many people did not abide by the new treaties, despite the fact that some people did, like in the case of Tianhai City. The new vows were broken by mankind, and many spirits turned evil. This resulted in a growth of evil spirits during Kuruk's lifetime. After passing, she regretted giving the nations everything that they wanted. She agreed that no one had a right to all they wanted, and that in order to live in genuine balance, people needed to learn when to stop stealing from the environment and from one another. Yang Chen suffered greatly during her reincarnation as a result of her decisions to choose people over spirits, which she carried with her into the afterlife. Knowing what we do about Yang Chen as a person, we can make a few assumptions about what she would reflect on in the spirit world after her death. It's pretty safe to assume that following her death and seeing the state that the world was in with the spirits, she regretted not bridging the two worlds together better. As an avatar, it was her job to unite both the humans and the spirits, and as we know, she didn't do a very good job at that, even though not only was she the avatar, but an airbender. You might be wondering what that has to do with anything, but keep in mind that airbenders are known for being some of the most spiritual people in the Avatar universe. I wouldn't be surprised if she felt a burden of letting down the air nomads. Before we move on to Kuruk, we did want to mention that it's been theorized that Yang Chen faced a lot of childhood trauma. Being in the spirit world, having to think about that probably took a toll on her. The Water Tribe's Avatar Kuruk immediately preceded Avatar Kyoshi and succeeded Avatar Yang Chen. He was a powerful and talented bender who was a native of the Northern Water Tribe. He dreamed of uniting the people and building on Yang Chen's principles to improve the mortal world. But when a horrific battle with a demonic spirit left him with a deep spiritual rot that grew inside of him, his hopes were destroyed. This confrontation was but the first of its type, as more evil spirits started to enter the mortal realm to cause havoc. Kuruk frequently chose to meet the angry entities alone in order to keep others from contracting the same disease that afflicted him. Only his spiritual guide, Nyahitha, was aware of the hardships and isolation he went through. Kuruk started to neglect his regular responsibilities as the Avatar, as he secretly eliminated dark spirits in the spirit world and the mortal world. He spent a lot of his free time living a carefree life to deal with his stress and spiritual illness, because he was physically and psychologically weak. After a protracted struggle, he managed to weaken Father Glowworm, a particularly nasty and strong spirit, putting an end to the worst dark spirit invasion. Kuruk eventually received another punishment after earning the anger of the spirits for his deeds and lifestyle when he lost his fiancée, Umi, to Ko, the Face Stealer. He tried to save her for his final years, but in vain. Kuruk eventually passed away at the young age of 33 from a spiritual illness that sapped his life power. After his death, there were significant upheavals and unrest in the four countries, since he had done little to address the issues facing the mortal world. Kuruk's spirit wandered the spirit world after he passed away, and even after his reincarnation looking for his wife. He eventually discovered Ko after a run-in with one of his successors, Aang, and was about to murder him when he realized that the spirit had taken Umi's face and imprisoned her forever. He could not kill Ko without also killing his wife. To no surprise, having to deal with what he did, he spent most of his time in the spirit world in agony. He was having to deal with the fault from losing his fiancée, as well as leaving the world so young. He felt guilt for the world having to deal with a spiritually sick avatar. Following Avatar Kuruk of the Northern Water Tribe and before Avatar Roku of the Fire Nation, Kyoshi was the Earth Kingdom-born Avatar. She was extraordinarily tall, towering over most individuals, and she passed away at the age of 230, making her the oldest confirmed human. Jessa, an outlaw air nomad nun, and Hark, a thief from a poor Earth Kingdom actor family, were the parents of Kyoshi. She adopted her mother's golden headpiece and metal battle fans as well as her father's Dao Fei face paint to create her later characteristic look. Kyoshi experienced a tough childhood. She was an abandoned child who struggled to survive as a homeless orphan before being rescued by Kelsang, who ended up becoming her de facto adoptive father. Additionally, she wasn't acknowledged as the Avatar until she was 16 years old. Yun was chosen instead. Kyoshi's world was upended as the truth about who she really was came to light. As Kelsang sought to protect Yun from Jianzhu, Yun's previous master and the de facto king of the Earth Kingdom, Yun was sacrificed to a monster spirit, and Kelsang was killed. Kyoshi escaped with her other friend Rangi, and joined her parents' previous gang, the Flying Opera Company, out of fear and a burning desire for retribution against Jianzhu. Kyoshi consequently roamed the Earth Kingdom with these unusual allies, and got embroiled in the criminal underworld while being pursued by Jianzhu. After a string of hardships and losses, Kyoshi developed strong bonds with her criminal allies, started dating Rangi, and assisted in Jianzhu's apprehension. Although other people were supposed to have lived much longer, Kyoshi was the oldest confirmed Avatar and human in history when she passed away in the year 82 BG at the age of 230. It's likely that Kyoshi picked up the key to immortality from Lao Ge, her spiritual mentor. She was succeeded as the ruler of Kyoshi Island by her daughter Koko. Kyoshi later underwent reincarnation as the noble Roku of the Fire Nation. Not much is known about Kyoshi in the spirit world. We assume that she spent time with guilt over the fact that she ran from her Avatar duties in her early years, as well as being in a criminal gang. However, she had a lot of positives to reflect on as well, including Kyoshi Island, and at the time was the yet-to-be-corrupted Dai Li. We wonder how she felt learning of their corruption later on during Aang's time. The Fire Nation's Avatar Roku was the Avatar who came before Aang and promptly succeeded Kyoshi. Aang's journey to put a stop to the 100-Year War was guided by the memory of Roku. Roku was an Avatar with excellent intentions who was smart and merciful. He persistently strove to uphold peace between the four nations during a period of complex political concerns and tense diplomatic relations. He lived in a time of transition, technological revolution, and nationalist growth. He admitted, though, that he had lacked sufficient directness throughout his life. Roku's long friendship with Fire Lord Sozin made him reluctant to put an end to his friend's life, and consequently, his aspirations for imperial rule. This ultimately caused Roku to pass away, which caused him great sorrow in his afterlife, because it prevented him from ending a conflict that would last for a century. Roku left the task of rebuilding the devastated planet to Aang, and Roku was certain that Aang could make up for his errors. 100 miles away in his palace, the Fire Lord Sozin was able to see and feel the tremendous volcanic eruption that destroyed Roku's home island 25 years later. By creating an air sphere around himself, he initially succeeded in buying the other people, including his wife, some time to leave the island. Roku used his bending skills to try and stop the volcanic destruction, but it was delayed by the volcano's constant lava spouting. He used earthbending to dig trenches to send lava safely to the sea, and he used airbending to solidify the lava and expel the noxious gases from the geysers that had formed beneath it, all before using the Avatar state to bend the lava. However, he eventually gave up when the nearby second volcano also erupted. But at that very second, Sozin arrived on his dragon and promised to help the Avatar. Roku used earthbending to save Sozin from a dangerous fall as the two tried to stop the lava flow. But finally, the poisonous vapors forced them to leave the mountainside. Roku cautioned Sozin not to breathe the gas as they descended and used his airbending to shield them before he was consumed by a gas geyser. Roku begged for assistance as his vision became hazy. Instead, Sozin recognized that without Roku standing in his way, his ambitions to conquer the world would succeed. So he left Roku to die while riding his dragon. Roku was shocked by his old friend's choice and the explanation for leaving him for dead, but he eventually accepted that death was a given. Fang snuggled up with his master just before the pyroclastic surge swallowed him, and the two perished together. As Roku tells Aang, we know that in the spirit world after his death, he carried a lot of resentment toward himself. He knew that had he put his personal feelings aside and taken Sozin out when he had the chance, the war would never have started. He blamed himself completely for the war. He also partially felt guilty over all that he left Aang to deal with at such a young age. A 100-Year War is definitely a lot to carry. And we're leaving off here. What do you think about what these avatars had to carry, even after their deaths? Did we miss anything? Let us know in the comments below, and let us know if you want more videos about the past avatars. Until next time, stay flamin'!